This episode of the Topcast is proudly supported by tonebase.co.
Just like we scaffold their learning, we have to scaffold their motivation. Like as their teacher, we're teaching them how to kind of do that. So like Tonara, they get this instant gratification. They get this happy little dopamine hit. They practice the passage and it goes, yay, you just earned 28 points. I practiced for 30 seconds. Cool.
Hi teachers, and welcome back to the Topcast, the official music teachers podcast. You're listening to episode number 195. I can't believe we've only got 5 episodes to go before 200. That's kind of crazy. And a very special welcome to my top music pro teachers. One of the trickiest things about this lockdown period, particularly if you've been running groups or doing any kind of group workshops as part of your studio offering, is continuing that student motivation and continuing to build community when everyone is separated and working from home. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you today Beth Horton. She's absolutely hilarious, and I know that you'll get a laugh out of this show regardless of what you think about anything that we're talking about. Beth is just such a fun and vivacious kind of person, and always a pleasure to talk to. And we will be talking in this show about Tonara, which is an app that I really enjoy using and encourage other teachers to explore as well, because it really does provide some fantastic motivation for students on practice in particular, and giving them also an opportunity to connect with both you as the teacher and also other students in your studio because of the kind of chat groups and things like that that you can create. We're going to go into more detail about how all that works. And I'm also very happy to let you know that while you've probably heard that our Top Music Pro members get 25% off Tonara each month, that's an exclusive offer that is only available to my members. Even if you're a non-member and you're listening to this podcast, you can take 10% off a Tonara subscription right now using the links on our show notes page. So if the discussion with Beth gets you a little bit inspired to check out this app called Tonara, then do head to our show notes page. That's at topmusic.co/episode 195, where you can grab the links and also the coupon code and also a transcript if you'd like for today's episode and Tonara. My guest today is a former band director who now lives and teaches from Lubbock, Texas, with her studio sharing the love of music. She also works as a creative education specialist for Tonara, helping teachers stay connected to their students through technology. Welcome to the show, Beth Horton.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited to be here today.
It's always super fun to hang out with you. You're one of those most bubbly, fun, vivacious kind of people that I know. So I always enjoy spending time together, and I hope our listeners will be able to feel that vibe from you as well.
I hope so.
So tell us just quickly a little bit about your own studio in Texas. Whereabouts are you? What kind of ages do you teach? You've obviously gone online now, but how does it look over there?
Okay, so pre-online everything, I still do. I operate my studio in 2 different cities. I currently live in Lubbock, Texas, which is like not technically the Panhandle. It's called the South Plains region, but like if you're looking at a map, we're like the very bottom part of the Panhandle. But I was living 6.5 hours south because we measure distance and time in Texas. And 6.5 hours south in Austin, Texas before that. And in Austin, I was operating an in-home teaching studio. So I would go to people's homes and teach lessons. And I was, making bank at that. It was really successful. The studio was doing really well because Austin, Texas is notorious for its terrible traffic. Mm-hmm. And ain't nobody want to get out there. So I was able to expand the business, hire some teachers. And then my husband and I relocated to Lubbock to be closer to his family here in West Texas. And I still operate the studio in Austin. I teach some of those students online still. So pre-COVID, I was teaching about half my studio online, some in Austin, some in Midland. And then the other half of my studio would come see me in a studio location here in Lubbock.
Okay. And now obviously all online.
Yeah. But you know what? It was really easy to flip the switch because that's how we've always done like makeup lessons. Mm-hmm. Or if they're sick or contagious with something, but they still feel good for a lesson, they just do it from home.
Right. And the studio that you still have in your old hometown, you say you're still running that, so you still oversee it. You obviously don't teach apart from the online students. So do you have a small group of teachers who are still going to students' houses in normal times?
Yeah, in normal times, they are still going to students' houses, although I don't know like what's going to happen after this because of liability issues, but we'll say that eventually we'll get back into people's houses. I'm not sure. Things are sort of topsy-turvy, but up until this, yeah, they were going into students' homes and teaching. It was a lot of fun. And again, the studio, I think two families were like, maybe not so much, but they'd also joined in about the last semester. So the idea that like, no, this is how we handle snowy weather. This is how we handle strep throat. This is how we handle lice. This is just how we handle life sometimes. It was kind of a big hurdle. And, learning online is not for everyone. And it's just been such a crazy, weird time that, showing some people some grace and the doors open when you're ready to come back is important. But yeah, this is a busy life and a good one.
On makeup lessons, I remember Carly Walton, when we had a discussion, we were talking online teaching, and she was saying that online teaching is one good way to solve the whole makeup lesson issue, either by offering that lesson in an online capacity, or indeed because she does all online, if someone misses an online lesson, she just records a short lesson and sends it to them to do. So there's no makeup. You don't have to worry about it. Yep, there's just a video lesson for you. And that's it. It's just, and so I think if anything we can take away from this, if we do go back to online lessons, or when we do, we can still use online for various aspects of our studio. And that's a good outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a traveling teacher, trying to schedule an in-person makeup lesson, especially when you're covering a wide area.
Of course, yeah. Impossible.
I don't want to drive to South Austin from North Austin on a Saturday. I don't want to spend 40
one session, yeah.
For a 30-minute lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a money and time waster. So
yeah, no, that's great. Well, today's episode is a conversation about Tonara, which is an app that we both use in our studios. And it's been interesting hearing how much the name Tonara has actually come up in my recent podcasts with other people. So Jennifer Fox, she came on 4 episodes ago to talk about summer camps, and a number of our members are now using it because of our top member pro discount. So what got you into Tonara and made you first try it out?
Yeah, so I first heard about Tonara like about a year ago, maybe a little earlier than that. My friend Becky Laurent, who we all in this community know and adore. She's just the best. She had been chatting and checking it out and giving them some, I don't think she gave them feedback, but they were like, hey, you should check this out. And she was like, yeah, okay, I checked it out. But I did meet Asaf and Luann. I knew of Luann from online, but I didn't get to meet her in person until the Texas Music Teachers Association conference in June. And so I checked it out a little bit then. I chatted with Asaf and had a fabulous dinner with Luann. And started to use it with a few of my students. And I was like, okay, this has got some wheels. Anytime I try any type of new technology, I have 2 families I go to. I go to my like most tech savvy mom, the one who's just like, I'm like, oh, hey, you should try this Jalen McFarlane thing. Here's your password. And I don't have to explain anything. She's just like, okay, cool, got it. Before the end of the lesson, she's like, okay, cool, got it.
Yeah.
And then my least tech savvy parent. And they're both moms.
You do both ends of the spectrum. That's quite clever. Yeah.
I need to know how much hand holding I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, that's great.
So, and they both have 3 kids with a pretty diverse age range. Like the youngest kid in this group is finishing up 1st grade right now, and the oldest one is finishing up 6th grade. So I can hit a wide spectrum of age ranges to kind of see how the kids like it. And I know how much effort it's going to be to onboard parents. So it went well with them. We got really good feedback from them, and then added a few more parents and a few more, families, and basically was using it with all of my online students by August.
By August last year.
Yes.
Is that right?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
By August of 2019.
Yeah, that's right. And I remember Tonara back when it was another whole app altogether called Wolfie. It kind of emerged out of that, which was a like play along kind of app, and then it's just developed and is becoming more and more prominent because more and more people are using it because it's got so many great advantages, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Now, you're now working for the Tonara team, supporting teachers using the app. And you mentioned Asaf and also Luann. So Luann's another teacher in the States who's one of the Tonara teaching support staff, I guess.
We have
and
a very
Asaf is on the team in Israel. He's one of the leads.
Yeah. So Asaf is in charge of business development, and he's in Tel Aviv. And then, and he's my boss.
Right.
And then Luann Pope and Nicole Douglas and we are all creative education specialists, which sounds
Fabulous.
very fancy.
Yeah. No, it's great. And we'll talk a bit about some of the specific features and what you use, but what are some of the main benefits you've seen? Because we all, as you've said, onboarding a new app and using it in your studio, one, it's a time commitment, which almost is the biggest input that you've got to put in when you're using a new app. Secondly, there is a cost involved too. So you want to make sure that it does have benefits. So what have you seen for, I guess, two areas, your business, if it has had an impact there, and certainly on the student outcomes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So business-wise, I always like to think about like how much time, like you said, how much time am I going to have to put it on the front end? How much is it going to save me later? And I think with the development of the repertoire section and the My Media section, where I can save lessons and reassign them and have one central location to add what I call lesson collateral, because I can't think of anything better to say. But like,
what are resources? Collateral. That's such a businessy term.
I'm so sorry. How dare I? How dare?
It's all good.
Okay. So resources like recordings and PDFs and pictures and things like that, I can put them all in one spot, and then I can just kind of like set it and forget it a little bit. It's like the crock pot of teaching. I have to like dump all the ingredients in, and sometimes you have to chop things or brown the meat or whatever. And you're like, oh, really? But then you just dump it all in and you're like, it's just there and it's ready for you. So I guess don't tell my boss I called this the crock pot of teaching.
I like it. You can portion it out, freeze it in the freezer, and just grab it out whenever you need it.
Exactly. It's like,
let's run with this. I like it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's great because I can do a little bit of effort to put together like an assignment. And then it's just, we all use a pool of repertoire that, our students kind of go through, and they may be on like 2 or 3 different paths, but all of those paths have a common repertoire. Once you do it, it's just done. So I like that aspect of it. It's very streamlined for me. I no longer have to waste what feels like years of my life writing stuff on a piece of paper to put in a binder that a child is not going to get out of their piano bag to look at. Or if they do, they'll say, well, I looked at it once, or, well, I forgot, or my favorite is, well, I just couldn't read it.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's like, did you not ask a grown-up? Like at any point in time, did you not go find a grown-up? But I am done with faith-based assigning. That's kind of how I refer to it. It's all very much like a active faith to put something like that into the hands of a child. And then like for online teaching, it's totally bonkers because you write it out on the PDF that looks like their lesson assignment sheet, save it and email it. And then pray to the gods above that the parent opens the email, prints the lesson assignment sheet, hole punches it and puts it in the binder, and it doesn't just get put on top of the piano with the 7,000 other lesson assignment sheets that are just rolling around up there.
And then when you shut the door, it blows off and falls down the back and bye-bye.
Exactly. Or the ceiling fan. Those are pretty big here in Texas. Like, it's just so that has eliminated a lot. And I always tell my parents, because they can put it on their device and then the kid can have it on their device. So the parent can get notifications that the kid has new assignments. So this is sort of like where it begins to benefit my studio and my students in their learning. The parents are now more aware of what teacher expectations are. They can see how much time I'm thinking that it's going to take for my student to make some progress on each individual assignment. They can see when their student gets new assignments, so they can't say, oh, well, Miss Beth didn't say, which is entirely likely because I'm forgetful, right? It's legit. But if they can say, well, Miss Beth didn't say, and mom can open it up or dad can open it up and go, well, no, Miss Beth did say. It's got a chat feature. So the students can communicate with me if they have questions, or the parents can communicate with me if they have questions about what those assignments are. And it's one simple step. You see the red dot that says you have new assignments, you bonk the icon, and it takes you right to the to-do page. So there's a lot more certainty that they're going to see what's expected of them. And they're more motivated to practice. I know we'll talk about it a little bit later, but they're more motivated to practice because of some of the features that are built into the app. And when they're practicing and happy, they're making progress. And now we can circle back to business. When my students are making progress, they're continuing to be students. And that means I'm continuing to make profit. And I don't have to worry about investing a lot of time. Always be hustling. Okay. Don't not market, but I don't have to invest a whole lot of time in marketing funnels because I have a very happy, satisfied group of customers who are doing the marketing for me.
So you think it has an impact on retention?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a huge one because that if you are losing students quite rapidly, doesn't matter how many new ones you get, it's like filling a leaky bucket, I guess. So, that's a really great overview, and I do like that connection that you've got. You've got that. We all run our lessons on if we're going to draw a diagram, a triangle of you, the teacher, the parent, and the child. These three elements are vital for success. Particularly if they're young children. So being able to have all three in one ecosystem with simple messaging and, as you say, sharing of assignments and information, that makes a lot of sense, particularly when parents as well are on phones. We're all on phones as well. So it's like, okay, there's something, so I can go, oh, hey, Tommy, you've seen your new assignment. You need to make sure you did that today, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I really love it. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm not a parent. And any child who could have potentially been mine is thanking God right now that I'm not their parent. But I'm sitting here and I've got a phone and a tablet right next to me just in case I need it while I'm talking to you on a computer with a second monitor. Yeah. This is reality for a lot of parents, especially right now when they're working at home.
Absolutely. This episode is presented in collaboration with our friends at Tonebase. Tonebase is an online music education platform dedicated to making the highest level instruction affordable to students, teachers, and amateurs around the world. The Tonebase piano artist roster features world-class concert pianists and recording artists like Garrick Olson and Simona Dinestine, legendary musicians like Leon Fleischer, gold medalists of Chopin, Clyburn, and Queen Elizabeth international competitions, as well as professors from top conservatories like Juilliard, Curtis, Eastman, Yale, and Peabody. In a library of over 150 high-quality, in-depth videos, these artists share their insights with you on the craft of piano playing in all its breadth, including tutorials on intermediate and advanced repertoire, workshops on technique and musicianship, as well as interviews and special features. As a privilege of joining Top Music Pro, members receive free, unlimited access to the Tonebase piano platform. Join Top Music Pro to experience the incredible resources Tonebase has to offer at topmusicpro.com. And for more information on Tonebase, visit tonebase.co/piano. That's tonebase.co/piano for more information. Okay, so let's talk through some of the specific features. You've mentioned a number of them, but we might just go into a tiny bit more depth. Yeah. I'm loving, and maybe we could start with my two favorites because I've seen this as a parent, how effective they are. And one of them is practice motivation, and you touched on this before. And so my two boys, one's learning trumpet, one's learning guitar. I did try piano, but one of them dabbles. He loves playing piano, but me teaching him, I don't know how parents do it actually, parent teachers. Anyway, that's another story. But I've seen how the practice tracking and then the leaderboarding actually, it's surprisingly motivating some kids won't really care about leaderboards and things, but a lot of them do. So tell me a little bit about how it tracks, how it listens, and what that means for your students.
Yeah, I'm guessing your trumpet player is the one who's like super gung-ho about that leaderboard, just based on what I know of trumpet players.
Actually, no. Actually, it's the other way around.
Oh my goodness!
It's the guitar players that he's much more. Well, they're both kind of sporty, I guess. But anyway, one likes it more than the other. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right. There I go, blowing all the stereotypes of trumpet players wide open.
I don't mind. Don't worry.
Okay. That motivation factor is really awesome. And what I like is that the points system and the leaderboard thing, that tends to kind of reel them in at the very start. You open this podcast very generously saying that I'm a bubbly person, but I am not a nice person. Like, I am not a nice teacher. I co-office with Becky and with her teachers, and I am the mean one in the building. I am not the nice one. I don't do prizes. I don't do stickers. I occasionally will do a fist bump. I used to do high fives, but germs. And I mean, that's it. At Christmas time, Miss Becky's like, here's socks, here's candy, here's this. And I mean, I would love to be a kid in her studio. That is not me. And my students go, well, what do I get to live today? That's what you get. You get continued existence on the face of this earth.
You really are the Grinch.
I am. Yeah. We don't do prizes. We don't do stickers. When kids are like, what's my prize? I say the pleasure of my company. So make sure it's a pleasure. I'm just not nice. And so the kids who've really stuck around for this, God bless them. In my mind, I'm like, well, clearly they're not motivated by stuff like that because they're still here. And they're like, I don't do that. When they realized they could get points, it was like, Ms. Beth, I did this. Can I get extra points? Ms. Beth, I did this. Can I get some extra points? No, you don't get extra points. You can have, I do the bonus points if they meet their goal. And I've been doing some bonus points right now for some scavenger hunt with their groups. But, for the most part, they're pumped about those points at first. After a while, kind of the love of points dies down, but it's replaced with the love of progress.
Right. Yeah. It's the extrinsic motivation moving to an intrinsic motivation.
Exactly. Exactly. And anyone who says, I'm going to say something exceptionally controversial here.
Oh, yes. Go.
Yeah. I'm about to throw some shade. Anyone who says that intrinsic motivation doesn't work must not care that they do or do not earn a paycheck. I'm going to just leave that there.
Yeah. I've spoken to many people and researchers in the field about motivation because I've questioned my own. So when I was a child, I was given money for learning particular passages. And I tell you what, I learned them really, really well. I have given my students stickers in the past and, they earn a number of points and they can choose a candy bar or whatever it is, those kinds of things. And I've then questioned it, is that bad? Should I be doing that? And everyone that I've spoken to says, no way, he's actually fine, particularly at the start. And kids need that. And the goal then is that migrates across, as you say, into an intrinsic one once they get a level of motivation and momentum going.
Yeah. Well, and just like we scaffold their learning, we have to scaffold their motivation. As their teacher, we're teaching them how to kind of do that. So Tonara, they get this instant gratification. They get this happy little dopamine hit. They practice the passage and it goes, yay, you just earned 28 points. I practiced for 30 seconds. Cool. And it's not a lot of points, but I know, I didn't do a lot of practice. But I get that instant, I got points. That's cool. Let me try that some more. So we get that instant gratification. We also have a place built into the app where teachers can award bonus points. So if I challenge my student, I give them a goal to practice my standard is 4 days a week. I guess I have very low standards. I don't know. 4 days a week, 3 minutes on this song, all those 4 days. If they can meet that goal all 4 days, if they can make the assignment turn green, which again, extrinsic motivation.
Yep.
They get pumped about, I got the line through it. They get bonus points for that. It's sort of like you get your weekly paycheck for doing your good work, but you meet your quarterly bonus, you get a bonus. And then you mentioned the leaderboards. The kids are ranked on a leaderboard for your studio based on the number of points they've earned in the last 7 days. And so this is where sort of long-term thinking and habit building start to kick in because you can practice a ton. And I saw this week. On Tuesday, I logged in and my student, Joe, was number 1. He had 10,000 points. I log in on Wednesday and my student's Ruby says, I'm back to number 1. Cool. How'd that happen? Because she was number 2 with 9,000 points yesterday. Well, she practiced on Tuesday and Joe didn't because he had a lesson and 3,000 of his points dropped off. So you're only as good as your last 7 days. So you're really encouraged to continue having consistent practice sessions so that you can maintain your place on the leaderboard.
And I also like that it really is quite easy to set up too as a teacher. You can set, basically it's just a one page with a few checkboxes. You can almost decide how much information you put in or just use the default quite easily and that works. You can say, okay, how many days out of 7 would you like them to practice? For how long each day is that? Here's the points, go. And then it shows up on their screen. And all they have to do is when they're going to start their practice, they open up Tonara and they click practice starts now. And tell us about how the app, because it actually listens to them playing, right?
It does listen.
Which sounds creepy, but it's actually not.
It's not Skynet.
But it's not recording.
Yeah. It's not. It only records it by the students choosing. I do want to circle back and say one more thing about motivation, because I talked about scaffolding, but I never said how I did it. So when the kids are starting to earn points and they're excited, they're also passing off their pieces at a faster rate. And I make sure that I point that out, like aggressively passive aggressive, like as only a Southern woman can. Aggressively passive aggressive. Like, oh my gosh, you passed out off in 1 week. Wow. It's because you're doing all this extra practice. I'm so proud of you. It's disgusting. I lay it on really thick. But by like week 4, they really don't care too much about the points. They're not mentioning it. They're not asking about it. They're not pointing stuff out anymore. They're like, how many new songs am I getting this week? And so it starts to move into that intrinsic motivation. But you can be as detailed as you want. Like, it really is customizable to the personality of the teacher and the student, which is amazing. And then again, the student is going to get a notification. Your teacher sent you some assignments. You bonk the app, it opens it up to the to-do list, and then the kid can pick and choose what they want to do first. And so, they just tap the assignment. It gives them some details. They're probably not going to read it. I have zero faith that they will. So I always put the title and the page number. And then, like, if it's a certain set of measures, I put that in all caps. So it just shows up at the top. But, you have a place down in the bottom to put in your instructions. And I'm sure that there are conscientious children out there. I just don't think I teach them. But then they can just start practice. And then the app is going to listen for the timbre. It's only going to listen. So I guess we always talk about, I know you heard me, but were you listening? It's going to hear the student. So when it hears the timbre of the student's instrument, the little sparkles show up on the screen. It's not that exciting. We kept the interface, I developed it. The developers kept the interface deliberately simple and non-interactive because we want the student interacting with their music. We want the student interacting with their instrument and listening and paying attention to that. But little sparkles will appear to let them know that, yes, the app is hearing them. And for every moment that the app hears the student, it's awarding points. And I don't mask.
And tracking time, right?
And tracking time, yes. Yep. So like the kid could sit there and not play anything and write out the timer. And it'll look like they did their time. But they will basically have done their time with no reward. Because, if you log in as a teacher and you're like, how did this kid get all green strikes on everything? But they're not on the leaderboard.
I see. Yes. Okay.
I mean, yeah, again, I still kind of have to do my job a little bit and do some deductive reasoning, but they are not going to get points if they don't practice. And yes, I've had another teacher go, well, what's going to stop them from playing whatever they want and not the song you want them to? And I was like, the threat that they're going to have to play it for you next week. Like they're still going to know that they have to have improved somehow between this week and last week if they've sat there and ran out the timer playing Kumbaya instead of Amazing Grace for, 5 minutes. Long.
Yeah, as we said, it's not record. There's no expectation that you're going to listen to these. It's just a way of tracking and then awarding points. However, there is a little button on that screen. There's only one button, and that is to record. So if they do want to record something to play for you, they can do that. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And, you can build that in as a part of the assignment. So I have a student right now. His piano is a half a step flat.
Nice.
And he really, it's pretty awesome. He really loves playing duets. And so I've recorded the teacher duet part for him a half step lower. I did it on my digital. I'm not going to work.
That's easy. The one press transpose. I love that. I used to love that when I accompanied singers in musical theater. It was great.
And you were like, oh, this is the alto who thinks she's a soprano. 2 steps
Can you just
flat.
transpose that down for me?
No. Sure. Let me just flip the music upside down. It might even sound better. But yeah, so I transposed the duet part and then I attached it to his lesson. Remember, I can record stuff. And then once I've done it one time, I can use it again for any other student, as long as their piano is a half step lower. I might have to go back and re-record that in the regular key. But he can press the play button. It's going to show up on his assignment page. He can press play on that. And I've put, 4 measures of metronome TikToks in there, and then press that start practice. And he has plenty of time to get ready. And then he can practice along with the teacher duet part. Well, I want to know if he's doing it. I want to know how he's doing on this teacher duet part. So he has to record it once a day so he can practice with it as much as he wants. But then you're right. He just taps that little microphone button, and then he's able to send me those recordings. And
and you just get notified if there's something new to listen to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. I get a notification. He sends it to me through the chat feature.
Yep. Great. And the other thing to mention, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, to preserve students' privacy, we have it as a 2-step system. The kid has to choose to record, and then the kid has to choose to send the recording.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that way, too, they can send you the best one, and you aren't bombarded with, there are
the average
players in this world, I can say it, who will have pressed record and stop and record and stop and record and stop 12,000 times before they're satisfied.
Right.
So it doesn't automatically send.
I was going to say, just on flutes, this app is not something you need a digital piano for. It listens out to the sound of anything. So my son playing guitar, the one playing trumpet, it'll listen. You just select that at the start so it knows what instrument to listen to in order to track those points, which I think is actually really, really clever. So we've covered the practice tracking, the leaderboards. We've talked about the assignments. What other features do you tend to use and see other teachers using?
I am a huge fan lately of groups. Now, as a teacher, I can...
Actually, Jennifer mentioned this in regard to summer camps too.
Yeah. I heard that. Well, I didn't hear that, but I mean, she's been talking about summer camps and Tonara and some other groups. But she, I had not done groups before because my studio is scattered to the 4 winds. But when this whole COVID thing started, I was like, these kids are going to be bored and lonely and strung out at home. And I want this to be the time that they realize music is actually for fun. We do all, and at Christmas time, we do our recital at off times. I'll do a recital at the end of October. And then, at the end of October, the week of the recital, I tell parents which Christmas book to order their kid. And all they do is play out of the challenge is learn your entire Christmas book before we break for Christmas. So they basically have 6 lessons to figure that out. I love that because it's a sneaky way of getting them to do a lot of sight reading and learning a lot of rep.
Mm-hmm.
And also lazy because I'm not ever going to keep track of 40 pieces for a 40-piece challenge. Although I love the spirit of it.
Mm-hmm. Too
lazy to track it, but I can be learn this entire book. It's 12 songs long in 6 weeks. And it's kind of the same concept, I guess. Lisa's probably shaking her fist. But just don't tell
her. Hi, Elisa, if you're listening.
Shh, don't tell. I just, they don't have, I try and build in places where oh, you like that song? Well, let's put that on your for funsies list. But I don't really have a lot of community building. We can't really do group lessons or things like that. And so I thought, well, at the start of this whole COVID thing, we need to be learning how to have fun at home alone together. I put them in relevant age groups, and I started a scavenger hunt. So, clue number 1 goes out, clue number 2 goes out, and they work together as a group to solve those clues. Now that they're done with that, they're working kind of against each other in their group to see who can get their piano bingo card finished first.
Ah, nice.
And one student go,
I like it.
I don't play piano, I play trombone. I was like, well, just substitute the word trombone, Caleb. Let's do it. But yeah, I mean, and all of the kids are doing the same activities, but they're doing it in smaller groups together and getting to know each other, even though they live really far apart. So we're sort of starting to lay this foundation of community and togetherness in sort of a spread out kind of weird digital world. And I'm really loving it. I'm getting excited about the email that I've got sitting in my outbox. It's scheduled to go out tomorrow. I'm very excited. We're going to do a for funsies recital. The Lubbock kids didn't get a chance to do a recital, so they're all going to, everybody, Lubbock and Austin, who cares, right? They get to record a song that they like, that's fun, that makes them happy to play. So it's not anything that they've had to prepare or anything else. What's your default go-to for funsies piece?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to record that. And then we're going to have a pajamas and piano viewing party. So we'll do it on Zoom and, mail and popcorn and like some little flags to wave or whatever. It'll be cute. It'll hurt to be that cute, but I'll do it. And then we'll just have a party and enjoy each other. And they'll get to kind of put faces with names of those kids from their groups and just kind of go, oh, yeah, this kid gets tortured from that same crazy lady I do.
Yeah, they can all huddle together in a group and support each other against.
Yeah, there'll be support groups for centuries. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. I do think the community building aspect of the chat and the group features is very. It's got lots of potential, as you say, particularly while we're all scattered and spread and online and all that kind of things. But also once the studios get back together, if you don't teach groups, then this is a great way of doing that community building, which otherwise group teachers would get naturally. So yeah. The other great thing is the support that you can get. Where can teachers, because that's, we're all going to have questions about it. And I know there's a great Facebook group. I'm sure they do email support, but how can teachers, if they do get started with this app, get help with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have like 12 different avenues, maybe not 12, but a lot of different avenues to get you the help that you need. So number one, you mentioned it, is the Tonara Focus Facebook group. So if you're a Tonara teacher, you've downloaded that demo, that's a great place. We have some really good, I call them our power teachers, trademark Beth Horton, because they've been using this app for a long time and they're just like, oh, this is how you delete a student. And then just jump in there, Johnny, on the spot. So if it's a question that like maybe a new user is struggling with, but someone else is like, oh no, dude, it's super easy. You do it like this. We don't want our teachers to feel confused or, frustrated. We want them to go, oh yeah, I can do this. We want to empower our users.
Yeah. No, when I started, yes, I am more techie than most, I guess, but it was not at all confusing as to how to set things up. And it does. I think it's a good thing that there's a web site, so you can access it on your desktop or laptop in a web form. And then there are apps for all your devices, which is designed as an app, and that works really well too. And the chat button too, and the ability to quickly see all your chats in one spot is great, and also to contact the support team. I think that's great. We should just, before we wrap things up, Beth, talk about billing. Does Tonara bill the students, or do you pay? How does that all work?
So the teacher pays for a studio subscription. So the teacher is subscribing for access for his or her students. Students do not pay for it when they download the app. It's free for them to download the app and to access the information that their teacher has sent them. And, I always look at the price per student per lesson. And anytime I'm making a choice about which app to use or which resource to use, there are so many amazing like subscription apps that are out there, like Supersonics. Another one that's just off the top right now. Kevin Olsen had one for a while there. Trevor and Andrea Dow. They've got just amazing. There's more music than you can shake a stick at, really. But when I'm looking at the cost for that, I just think, well, how much is this going to cost per student per lesson? And then I need to just evaluate, well, do I need to raise my technology fee or do I need to raise my tuition? And this works out to less than $1 per student per month for most teachers. So, and right now too, you've got an amazing discount that you are able to offer to your community. I'm
so excited that Tonara has given us this, and it is completely exclusive, and we're very, very thankful to have it. So all Top Music Pro members, if you're not already exploring Tonara, then you should, because you do get 25% off ongoing for using and accessing Tonara. And all you need to do is head to our discount section once you log into your membership. And if you haven't joined our membership, then this is a great opportunity, topmusicpro.com. Thanks for mentioning that, Beth.
Yeah.
So look, is there anything we've missed that we need to cover, or does that wrap things up, and we'll put some other links to maybe your video and things in the show notes?
Let's put some links to stuff in show notes. I'm pretty sure, much like my students, your listeners are tired of the sound of my voice. But I think that, we could talk for days on how to creatively use the app. But I just encourage listeners to think about the value added that they're putting for their business. Yeah, it's a little bit of work on the front end to get your students involved and up onboarded, I generally go the lazy route, and do like a couple of students each week, rather like a rolling onboarding process rather than doing everything all at once. It's far less overwhelming that way. And as my confidence in a new thing grows, I can onboard more and more people each week.
There's also, sorry, Beth.
Oh,
I was just going to say there's also the free trial as well. So you can actually just use it for free, try it with one student and see what you think before you commit.
Yeah. And you don't even have to, like, if you're concerned about like trying it with a real student, set up like the number of demos I've given where my dog has been my fake student, unbelievable. But then you can also, if you've set up a fake student, download and log into the student account so you can see it from the student side.
And
Nicole made a fabulous video. We'll link that too, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
That's a tour of the student side. But like, honestly, with that 25% off discount for your top music membership community, I think just it's an amazing value add for not a massive investment of time or money, honestly. And we're here to help every step of the way.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Beth. Well, it's been awesome to hang out, as always. Hey, I've written down 2 words that I thought were really hilarious.
Okay.
Bonk. Because we use bonk differently over here, or maybe you do as well.
Did I say something inappropriate inadvertently?
To bonk, you can imagine what having a bonk is in Australia, perhaps. Maybe not used in America. So when you were like, we bonk the app icon, I thought that was really funny anyway.
Okay. Sorry to anyone I inadvertently offended.
No, that's all funny. And for funsies, that's not a phrase I use. For funsies, yeah, I like that.
You can get away with a lot when you look like a chipmunk,
Oh, super. It's so good to catch up with you. I can't wait until we can do it again in person one day when the borders open and I can get back over to the United States for a conference or something. So I'll hang out until then. But thanks heaps, Beth. Really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you got a bit of a laugh and enjoyed today's episode with Beth. I certainly did, as you could tell. So don't forget that you can grab a 10% off discount. If you'd like to try out Tonara and you've thought that what you heard today was pretty cool, then head to our show notes page, topmusic.co/episode 195, where you'll be able to find the link and coupon code you need to lock in your 10% discount. And if you're enjoying the Topcast, then do please take a moment to leave us a review. You can do that either on iTunes or on Facebook. And the instructions, if you're unsure of how to do that, are at topmusic.co/iTunes. I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Topcast from topmusic.co. I'll speak to you again next week. For more information about this episode and to find out how to enhance your own teaching, visit topmusic.co. You'll find everything you need for your studio, from lesson plans to cheat sheets, quick win teaching ideas, and guides on how to build your teaching business. Plus, you'll be connected to a global community of the world's top music teachers. And when you're ready, join hundreds of other teachers around the world by becoming a Top Music Pro member and get access to all our bonus content and flagship courses. And don't forget to follow topmusic.co on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. That's all for today. We'll see you in the studio.